1026, 40 years before the Battle of Hastings, that this group formed in Italy. And we all played mandola, which is a gondola, and we would paddle out in the Italian oceans. And we made a pact to come back in 1989 and understand the physics of music and Italian literature and combine them. And
hello, this is Colonel Bruce Hampton, live at the Bottom Line. We're in the Aquarium Rescue. I love Chazoid. Oh, Martini.
Hi, I'm Apartment Q258. I play floating ceramic surfaces, hydrophase-enhanced collision devices, and a couple of drums.
My name's Jimmy Herring, and I play guitar for Colonel Bruce.
O'Teal Burbridge. I play bass guitar.
Yeah, I'm walking funny long, feel I'm fixing to die. Said I don't mind dying, boy, hate to see my children crying.
Jeff and I had met in 1985 at a wedding.
Dan Wall was the keyboard player, and he hired me. And Bob Lee was on bass. So in comes Bruce with his young friend to help him set up the guitar and the amp. And the amp's only this big. Getting ready for the wedding. Everybody sets up their stuff. And so Dan Wall says, all right, it's time to play. We start playing. I set up a nice groove. And I don't remember. It's kind of smooth jazz, right? And so, so far, you know, I hadn't heard anything from Bruce. But we're about a half a song into it when Dan looks over at Bruce and gives him the wink. Go ahead and take a solo. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Something from Mars landed, and it was, I thought, just the craziest thing to be playing at a wedding. And then I looked over at Dan Wall and saw him just laughing. His jaw was open, and he was just laughing at Bruce. And so I realized Dan and Bruce have a real special relationship. Later on, Bruce invited me to play one of his gigs.
I said, man, come play. And he showed up, and been like that ever since.
Bruce started having a regular Monday night at Little Five Points Pub in Little Five Points, Atlanta. And it was a performance art band, really. Music was just a small part of it. There was skits and antics and comedy and this kind of thing. And it was just so much fun. Really a complete departure from the real straight gigs. I knew right away that this was my calling to play with Bruce because he allowed for so much freedom. And he allowed for full expression, which is a hard thing to find in any musical vehicle. So I felt like I found home right away.
We found O'Teal about a year later.
I was doing wedding gigs, and we were doing a lot of cover stuff, just trying to make ends meet, like covering Anita Baker tunes, and you know, it was just like, it was, and then we had some of our like own instrumental fusion stuff that we were doing, which was great to play for ourselves, but nobody really was interested in booking it, you know.
I hired him as a drummer. I did not know he played bass.
Actually, on one of my first gigs with him, I think I was playing drums. Some weird drum kit that was just heads and it all folded up.
And he played drums a couple gigs and picked up a bass, and I went, man, why don't you play bass right now and we'll get psyched to play drums.
We play every Monday night at the Little Five Points Pub, and he charged them 99 cents. He was really adamant about giving everyone a penny back for some reason.
And then Jimmy came about 1990.
Jeff had been playing with Bruce Hampton, and he was talking about how liberating it was, and about how it was like nothing else he had ever done or heard, and the freedom in it was just incredibly liberating. And then O'Teal began playing with him too. So Jeff and O'Teal were both playing. And you know, and then the rehearsals with the other bands started to become less and less important. And I wanted to go see the band. I went to see the band, and I was so blown away. I was just blown away by what they were doing. It made everything else seem so silly, you know. It was almost performance art, you know, but it had a lot of really great musical things happening in it too. And then Charlie started playing with Bruce. And then at one point, Bruce invited me to come sit in. So like three of the members of that band we had that was rehearsing to try to get enough material for a gig were playing with Bruce now. And And I was like, I went to see him knock me out. Then Bruce invited me to come play one time, and man, I had my amp and my guitar in the trunk of the car, and I went in to hear the first set, just bowled me over. I was dying to play. And then I didn't, of course, invite myself to go get my stuff out of my car. I just waited till he asked me. He didn't ask me. So then I watched their second set. Oh man, I was dying. I wanted to play so bad. And then after the second set, he asked me, "Do you have a guitar with you?" And I said, I tried to be all cool. Yeah, I have a guitar. You know, but inside I was going, yes, you know. And so he said, well, go grab it, and why don't you play the third set with us? And so I did. I ran out to my car and got my stuff and came in, and it just exploded, you know, like, I mean, I felt like, oh, I've found the most incredible outlet of music ever in my life to play in. And then the next day he called and asked me if I wanted to join the band, and I said, yep.